Welcome to the Chicago Bears Podcast, a presentation of ESPN Chicago, Chicago's home for sports. Here's your host, Pat, the designer.
Bear down, Bears fans. Welcome into another edition of the Chicago Bears Podcast. Wednesday is here, which means we got Jason McKie in the building. Official Chicago Bears sideline reporter, Jason McKie. J-Mac, what's going on, brother?
What's good, man? What's good?
Hey, man, I'm just excited that there's more Bears football heading our way. Got a lot to get into on today's episode. Man, predicting the offensive side of the football. We got to get into this because what is this roster going to look like heading into the season, especially with a lot of the injury concerns that we have now? Is there going to be more people on one side than the other? We'll talk about that on today's episode. Also, could Tarik Cohen be making a return to the orange and blue? Hold on now. Tarik, you coming back? We'll talk about that. And finally, fourth quarter fan questions. We said that we're going to keep that as a segment. Be on the lookout for the tweet every time we put it out and drop your biggest questions of the episode. We'll be talking about that on today's episode of the Chicago Bears Podcast. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page. We talk Bears 5 days a week. Leave the 5-star review. Let's get into the show, J-Mac.
First quarter.
The offensive side of the football. We got some question marks, but we do have to at least give our prediction on where we kind of think this team is going to be going and who we think is going to make this roster. So let's start it off. Quarterback position, is Justin Fields going to make the roster? I kid. But seriously, starting off with the quarterback position though, right? Like we've got a lot of talk about young Tyson Bagent. Unfortunately, PJ Walker has looked bad. I guess that's all you can say. He's looked bad pretty much the entire training camp and preseason. And Nathan Peterman is just Nathan Peterman, right? Are the Bears going to carry 4 quarterbacks into the season, or is somebody gonna miss the cut?
Not a chance. Not a chance they carry 4. Now here's the thing, right? So obviously Justin Fields he's gonna be the first person on the roster that matches jersey number.
For
so
sure.
The number 1 guy on the roster.
Yeah.
You look at PJ Walker, right? You sign him to that a decent deal for a backup this offseason. And he didn't look good. Obviously, week 1 in the preseason game, he didn't have a lot of opportunities against the Colts, but he didn't look good. He did have 2 drop passes. Remember, Equinemius St. Brown dropped the pass, and he also, I think it was Stephen Carlson, also dropped the pass. So still a small sample size, you know what I'm saying? I know the guy can play when he's given his opportunity. He's got more experience than a Tyson Bagent, but we saw what Tyson Bagent did that game. I was there. I saw it, firsthand being on the sideline in a 17-play drive, from a guy who doesn't get a lot of reps in practice, he's getting sometimes the 3rd-string reps, sometimes the 4th-string reps, depending on how they mix it in with him and Peterman. So, during the team period, he may only get four reps, you know what I'm saying? And to have that type of poise and command of the offense, right, that he had, when he went in the game, it was eye-opening to me for sure.
Yeah.
And I was right there. It looked like he'd been running this system for a long time. And I had the opportunity to interview him in the locker room. And I was wondering, because he was so poised, he was so calm, he was so in control. I asked him, is this offense similar to the one that he ran at Shepherd University? And he said some things were similar. He said, but for the most part, it was different. He said it was different because terminology and the types of route concepts that we run in the Bears system was a lot different. So that made me more intrigued about, how he commanded the offense, because that just goes to show you, right? He's a guy who's getting mostly mental reps because he's not taking all those reps. But then he went out there and applied those mental reps, at a high level. So I'm really excited. I'm excited where in terms of his timing, he got the ball out in rhythm. He was accurate. He had command of the offense. And it just seemed like he had energy. You know what I mean? It just seemed like he was in the system, like it was his second year in the system.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So very intrigued by that. Coach Flu said it is an open competition at the quarterback spot, the number 2 spot, but it makes you wonder, right? How comfortable are you, or how comfortable are the Bears at having a number 2 quarterback who doesn't have any real experience? You know what I mean? That's the catch-22 because we don't want nothing to happen to Jay Fields, obviously. Nothing's going to happen to Jay Fields this season.
Yeah.
But the backup quarterback has to prepare like he's the number one quarterback in the NFL because things do happen. But how comfortable are the Bears, and how comfortable do you think the Bears are in having him as the number 2 if he was to be the number 2 quarterback when that final roster is set?
I think that the part that's tough, right, is you always have that question mark of how comfortable are guys showing and how quickly are they getting acclimated to the system. As much as we want to, I want to shoot PJ Bale and say, it's his first year in the system, but it's Tyson Bagent's first year in the league. I want to shoot PJ Bale and say, well, he's doesn't have the opportunity to play with a guy like DJ Moore, which he's comfortable with to make his life easier.
Mm-hmm.
But neither does Tyson Bagent, and Tyson Bagent is driving the Bears down the field 17 plays.
Man, he showed everything too on that drive.
Yeah, it looked good too, right? And so I think that you realistically have to go with the person that to me is more comfortable in the system heading into the season. PJ, if PJ looked at all comfortable with what he was running, if he looked like he had a command at all of what he was running, PJ's the better athlete. PJ's got the better arm. PJ's going to be able to get it downfield. But every time he tries to take a shot downfield, he overthrows it. You know what I mean? So it's guess what? That's what backup quarterbacks are going to do, but you can't overthrow it into the defense's arms. That puts you in bad situations. I think that they would be okay running with Tyson Bagent on the roster, but I think in that sense, you're probably keeping a guy like Nathan Peterman, who's been in the league, who's been able to come in, who's going to be able to mentor the young guy, probably still somewhere in there as your number 2 with Bagent on the side is you're kind of the number 2, but we don't want to throw you out there in the worst case scenario here that Justin Fields does get hurt. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a quarterback room coming into the season of Fields, Peterman, and Bagent.
Yeah.
I think at this point, I'm not going to lie, I would be surprised if we saw a room of Fields, PJ, and Peterman, because to me, you're basically saying the work that you put in the offseason don't matter.
Mm-hmm.
The work you put in training camp don't matter. We keeping him because we paid him.
Yeah, I agree. But even with that, I want to see more though. You know what I mean? I want to see more. I want to see that again. If I'm the GM and I'm the OC, if I'm Getsy, I want to see if you can do it again.
For sure. I want to
see if you can do it against Buffalo. Now, we know he's not going to do it against the starters, and Buffalo's got a hell of a defense. Oh man, they got you talk about a front seven. Them guys.
Oh yeah,
they got some guys, man. And I was looking at their roster, and it's it makes me scratch my head. Like, how did they get all these guys?
Yeah,
you got Von Miller, you got Leonard Floyd. You got Greg Rousseau. You got a ton of guys over there that can make plays. And obviously, we won't see Tyson against those guys, but I want to see if he can do the same thing. I want to see if he can command that offense again, right? And lead them on another long drive and come back, give him more opportunities, because he only got, I think, a series and a half last week. He got the second quarter, 17-play drive. Then he came back out. I think it was before halftime, and then Peterman was in. But I want to see more, and I want to see more of PJ Walker. I need to see. Okay, you had two not so great preseason games. You still got limited amount of reps in both, so I need to see more. Is it a case to where, PJ needs more opportunities? He needs more drives to get in the rhythm. Because look at the first game, he didn't get a lot of tick.
Yeah.
Second game, he didn't get a lot of tick. So I need to see more from both. I need to see more from all three of those guys to really determine what direction that we're going to go in terms of the quarterback room. And another thing, too, you got to keep in mind, and I know a lot of people have been saying this, can Tyson Bagent, can you hide him on the practice squad? And I think that's 100% no.
I think he gets picked up, man. I don't think that you can hide Tyson Bagent.
He gonna get scooped up like ice cream dessert, baby. As soon as
can we keep him just for his dad? No lie. Have you seen any of his dad's stuff,
bro? But I know he's like, I ain't messing with his dad.
Hey, bro, I started watching, as Carmen was talking about on Carmen and Yurko on ESPN 1000, how he went down a rabbit hole of watching his dad, Travis Bagent, and what he does. And dog, as you watch this stuff, this man talks trash so phenomenally, bro. I hope Tyson's successful just so that we can see a little bit of that. Like, this dude might just have GOAT gene built into him, and we just ain't seen it yet, bro. Because I'm sitting here watching his dad. His dad, literally, but by the way, his dad's an arm wrestler.
Yeah, I know.
He's a professional arm wrestler.
He's the GOAT.
This dude almost had his dad pinned. He almost had Travis pinned. And he looked him in the eye and said, "You better get it up. You better get up. You better get up. You're not going to win. You better get up." And then slowly just brought it back. And I was like, what is this? He has a podcast. I believe it's called Call Me the GOAT. Like this Mark is the GOAT, bro. I love it.
Well, his son, I mean, he's a heck of a player, man. He really is. And it's real exciting, right? It happens all the time, right? You get somebody in camp, and it's always, we don't know what position is going to be, but there's always like this unknown guy, this Cinderella guy in training camp that comes out of nowhere. You know what I mean? It exceeds all expectations, and now you got to make tough decisions. And quiet as kept, that's what the GMs and these coaches want. Like, these coaches want to have to make tough decisions. And I remember being in camp, and our position coach, you always say, "Hey, make it tough on me, make it hard.
Yeah,
make it hard for us to decide who we're going to keep." And that's these guys' jobs. And this is the last. I mean, just think about it. After this game on Saturday, right? There's going to be a lot of guys looking for more opportunities, right? Because you're only going to keep 53. You're going to keep 16 practice squad guys. So a lot of guys ain't going to be in that locker room, right? And a lot of guys, once this Saturday, this game's over, the reality is there's going to be some guys that'll never play football again.
Yeah.
Right. Unless it's like a turkey bowl for Thanksgiving. And that's not even trying to be funny. I'm serious. I'm not even trying to be funny, but that's the reality. You know what I mean? So, and that's the thing, like with any level. And I tell my high school kids this all the time. And I've been telling them this, especially seniors. We talk about opportunities. Well, your seniors, high school, you got 9 guaranteed games. So you have 9 opportunities that's guaranteed. You make the playoffs, you earn more opportunities. So, and it's the same thing for them. I tell them, hey guys, like, for some of you guys, you're going to go on and play college ball. Some of you guys, this will be the last time you play football. So you got to take advantage of the opportunities. And, Tyson Bagent's a guy who's making the most of his opportunities.
Yeah.
And
100%. I love it. I love to see it, man. You love to see those camp guys pop out. Let's take a look at this offensive line. I think this is the biggest question mark on the team as a whole, right? Of course, you're going to have your starters. And remember, the Bears have to carry Tevin Jenkins through the 53-man roster to put him onto IR after the final cut is made. So his IR stint would start after that if he does, in fact, go on IR. I've been doing some research on this injury. The span of strained calf is like, it could be 3 days, it could be 6 weeks. Like it's the weirdest. I was like, okay, like you could just be in pain or not. Like, it's your choice.
But Joe Burrow do the same thing, right? Strained his calf.
Pretty much.
How long was that? Like 2 weeks, Joe Burrow?
Yeah, and I mean, like he's getting ready to go, getting himself. Now, granted, right, very different position. Very different as far as the contact that maybe not with Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow got sacked a lot last year, so there's that.
Right.
But I think at a minimum, right tackle, we know Darnell Wright's on. Right guard, we know Nate Davis.
Cody.
Center, right now, he's listed as center. We know Cody Whitehair is going to make it.
Yep.
Tevin Jenkins, Braxton Jones, all locks to make this team for sure.
Yep.
Here's where now I ask you, J-Mac, how many linemen are you carrying into the season? Because Cody Whitehair, with the cast on his hand, he cannot snap the football right now, but he can play left guard. Are you taking 3 centers into the season where you're holding on to Doug Kramer? Of course, I think Lucas Patrick is going to make it because his ability as a vet to play center and his contract. Are you taking 3 centers into the season?
Yeah, that's tough. So right now, obviously, you named the 5. So I'm just checking off who I think. And I'm not even looking at position. I'm just looking at the linemen who I would keep, right?
Yep.
I might have too many, but that we got to start somewhere. So I'm going to go, obviously, Lucas Patrick, Tarik Cohen, Alex Leatherwood, Larry Barone, and I have Doug Kramer as kind of like, I don't know. So how many is that? 5? That's 10 guys right there.
Yeah.
I think I look at it like this, right? Lucas Patrick, right? He gives you that versatility because he can play guard as well.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Doug Kramer is just a straight up center, I think. But you do have, obviously, you have flexibility there with Cody Whitehair and Lucas Patrick can give you guard and center and guard reps. The question is, right, swing tackle, right? Can Larry Barone, can he play right tackle? Can he play left tackle? You know what I'm saying?
Wouldn't that be Leatherwood though? Wouldn't that be the guy that you would want to throw? We've seen them throw him out there. I liked him more on the left side than the right side.
Yeah, he's gonna have to do that because he can play all positions. He can play the guards, he can play the tackles. So yeah, I think Ja'Tyre Carter he's more of a guard. I don't know if you can put him out there to tackle. I'm not sure. I haven't seen him do it yet.
Right.
And he's been a guard for the most part. So I don't know. I think Kramer's going to be an interesting one. I don't know. I'm not sure. I think definitely he's going to be on practice squad, 100%.
For sure, he'll definitely make the practice squad. Bears want to keep him around. They like the work that he's put in.
Yeah.
But I think you might have to carry him onto the roster, right? Because here's the thing. As much as I like Cody Whitehair at, the fact that we can still utilize him, the time we saw Lucas Patrick in there at center, those 3 plays versus the Patriots, basically before he got hurt, he looked really good. The offense literally was just pushing down the field. But then I can't count on Lucas Patrick to be healthy. I have the same concerns about Lucas Patrick that I have about Tevin Jenkins. Now, that doesn't mean that I think that Doug Kramer's the answer at center. And remember, with a lot of this, right, there could be waiver wire pickups as well. Bears are number 1 in waiver wire pickups. Although if you're cutting a center, you're probably usually not cutting a great one. But maybe there's somebody who more specifically is used to playing the position, and you look there. But just based off the conversation we're having right now, I don't think there's anybody else on the team that knows how to snap the football.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So if we keep them, that's 10 right there. That's 10. You know what I'm saying?
Linemen.
I know, that's what I'm saying. This is the thing too. When you look at the waiver wire, right? What's going to happen is, teams are going to be cutting guys, right? Who may not be the best center, who may not be the best guard, who may not be the best tackle, right? But they're going to be cutting guys. Some teams are going to have to cut guys they really want to keep.
Yeah.
Hope they can hide, which they won't be able to. And the guys that they're trying to hide, the scouts already know. Like, they've been doing their research, right? The scouts, they've already, pre-scouted and looked at guys who may be possibly cut from other teams, and they're going to weigh their skill set based upon the skill set of the guys that we have right now. And if they see a guy and they say, you know what, this guy is better than Doug Kramer.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, he doesn't know our system yet, but his skill set and his potential is better than Doug Kramer. We're going to claim him off the waiver wire. We're going to put Kramer on practice squad. And there'll maybe another team who's looking at Doug Kramer and saying, you know what, he's better than the backup center that we have.
Yeah.
Right. So we'll take Doug Kramer. So that's what's going to happen. There's going to be a lot of movement, a lot of shifting of players in terms of that nature based upon team needs. But 10 linemen, it's injuries.
It's tough to carry into the season. Yeah. You're usually rolling with what, right? 8 linemen heading into the season.
Yep.
I mean, you've got your starting 5. See, for me, I think, I'm not going to lie to you, I think Bourne might be odd man out in a situation like that, even though he's gotten the time in there. Yeah. I could see him being odd man out. I think you carry on Leatherwood. I think you carry on Lucas Patrick. I'm pretty sure you carry on Ja'Tyre Carter. So that's 8 right there.
Yeah, Ja'Tyre Carter, he played well. He played well, especially this last game. Bourne played well this last game. Think about Bourne, right? You cut Bourne and say, we're going to put him on practice squad. He's gone. He's gone.
Somebody's going to pick up Larry Bourne.
He's got starting experience.
Just as a backup.
Yes, he's got experience. You're not going to be able to hide him on practice squad. Now, they got some other guys, some young guys. Dieter Iceland's a huge guy, man. That dude, he's a big dude, man. Like, I think, he may be a guy that can land on practice squad.
I think he's practice squad destined, yeah.
Developmental guy. They got a bunch of, guys they can develop that they can try to sneak on practice squad. I mean, there's 16 spots on practice squad now, which is crazy because when I was playing, it was only 5. They went from 5 to like 8 to like 16. But you have to with so many injuries that's going on, and it made me wonder, like, how did teams, back then, how did teams get around doing things with just 5 practice squad spots? And that's why you saw so many transactions every week, because there was only 5 practice squad spots, and they had to just shuffle things around, make sure they had, guys on that practice squad that they can move up in an instant. So O-line is it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be real interesting, man.
Second quarter.
We're going to keep this show moving along. We're going to jump into the second quarter here. Do want to let you know the second quarter is brought to you by the Hard Rock Casino in Northern Indiana. See Gypsy Kings featuring Nicholas Reyes on September 29th at Hard Rock Live. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. I knew that this was going to be a lengthy conversation because one, Tyson Bagent, come on, we got to talk about that young man. And the offensive line, ton of questions on the line. I think for the most part, though, we've kind of got our consensus on where we feel the line is going to be. Darnell Wright, Nate Davis, Cody Whitehair, Tevin Jenkins, Braxton Jones, maybe some transition between Bourne and Kramer. That's where we differ, but Leatherwood, Lucas Patrick, and Tarik Carter making the team right now. The wide receiver room is where it gets interesting because this also goes into the special teams conversation. It's a conversation that we have to have. I can say with all confidence that Chase Claypool, Darnell Mooney, and DJ Moore are going to make this team. I think we got that one pretty well locked down. I'd say even Tyler Scott pretty well locked down, right? There's your four. Now here's where I believe the question marks come in. Does Equanimeous St. Brown, could he be a surprise cut? When you look at a Velus Jones, what we've seen from him as a receiver versus a punt returner, haven't got to see it the last week. Maybe we'll see it this week versus the Bills, but he hasn't been able to show us that he's better than the muffed punt. Does Dante Pettis make it, who's played none? Isaiah Ford, right? That's where we start to get into it. When you look at this wide receiver room, What are your thoughts, J-Mac? Who do you feel is a lock? Who do you feel is on the bubble?
Yeah, obviously, DJ Moore, you said it already. Chase Claypool, Darnell Mooney, that's 3. Tyler Scott's a lock. Obviously, fourth round draft pick. You're going to keep him. But, I mean, reality is, like, same thing. I talk about seeing more of those quarterbacks. I want to see more of Tyler Scott. We saw one preseason game, and he didn't have a great showing. You know, he had the fumble. He didn't practice at all in Indy in the joint practices. Does he have a lot of potential? Yes. Does he have a lot of speed? Yes. But it's sad because he's hurt. And he's not getting the experience, the live reps that he needs in preseason. Especially all rookies, like the preseason is invaluable, but he's going to stick. Velus and Pettis, I think that's where it's going to get interesting because I think Pettis is the better punt returner. He's better at filling those catches. He secures the catch. Like when he's back there, when Pettis is back there, like I'm not like, oh, please catch it. When Velus is
right, I've never felt that.
and he showed that, like Velus, not Velus, but Pettis has showed that, you know, in practice, even at the joint camp when he came back out, you know, he was catching everything, right? Velus, now this is Velus, right? This is the thing with Velus, and it hurts because we know what he did in preseason game 1. He had a great showing coming back day 1 of the joint practices out in Indy, and then he got hurt after that. You know what I mean? And then we lost him. We didn't see no more of him. And he's in a situation where he needs to be healthy because he needs to show that he can, you know, come back and be more consistent, especially at receiver. He needs to have, you know, if they put him back there as a return man, he's got to show the ability to make the secure catch, whether it's on punt return or kickoff return, but he's got to show the explosiveness to be able to return those kicks. So that's going to be interesting. I think Equanimeous St. Brown, I think he's going to make it. You know, they love his big body. Is he a sure-handed receiver? No. We talked about P.J. Walker early. You know, he threw early on in that game. He threw I think it was a third down play. Equanimeous dropped the routine catch. You know what I'm saying? So from a receiver standpoint, he's not going to be one of the better receivers. But in terms of having a physical receiver that can block and help you out and do a lot of things, he's the best, you know, run blocking receiver that we have.
Yeah. He's still best in the league, if I'm not mistaken.
He gets after it, man. He gets after it. So, you know, I like Isaiah Ford. I think he's a practice squad candidate. I think Darius Fountain's a practice squad candidate. I got a chance.
He's shown something, though, man. I'm not gonna lie.
Interview him too, man, after the game, and I really like that guy. I really like him a lot, man. Like he's even just being around him, like in Indy the whole time, and just, you know, being in the hotel with the guys, and he's an upbeat guy, and everybody likes that guy. Like everybody gravitates towards his personality. He's a hardworking guy. He played well in the joint practice. Obviously, played well in the preseason. He's a guy you're rooting for. It's just NFL. It's cliche, but it's a numbers game.
Yeah,
well, it's a numbers game. So I don't know if he's going to. You know, I'm not sure if he'll make it. So
I mean, been in the league, what, 3 years? He was in Indy while Flus was there. So Flus has seen him.
high draft pick too. I think, what was he, fourth, maybe a fifth rounder?
He was 5th rounder, 159th overall in the 2018 draft.
5th rounder. So, I mean, receivers, you're going to keep what? 6 at most.
6 probably at most. Yeah, I was going to say like
6 at most. So
normally you're going in probably 6. Yeah. Yeah.
So DJ, you got Chase, you got Tyler, that's 3, right? EQ, that's 4.
Mooney.
Yeah, Mooney, that's 5. And now you have Velus, Pettis, and Fountain. I mean, that's who's going to give me the better. Am I missing somebody? That's who you have, right?
Here's the no. You're 100% right. Here's the tough, because I don't think Nsimba Webster makes the roster. I think he's a practice squad guy.
Yeah.
I think Joe Reed's probably.
Yeah.
I don't even remember seeing a play of Joe Reed, so I don't think he makes the roster at all. Probably. That's tough to say, but my bad. Your 4 right is, or I guess your 3 then is Darius Fountain, Dante Pettis, Velus Jones.
Yeah.
And
Coach Hightower loves Velus Jones. I mean, Coach Hightower loves Velus Jones, and he even spoke about
that might keep him then. If he loves him, that probably keeps Velus. Like it doesn't feel right to me because I haven't seen Velus do good things.
Yeah, but
outside of training camp, he's been phenomenal. When the lights come on, I haven't seen him do good things.
He can go, man. He can go. He can make. He's explosive, and I think that's what they like about him. And you look at Coach Hightower, Coach Richard Hightower. He talked about in his press conference the other day, right? They kept asking him questions about Velus. Velus dad, is he making decisions? And he said, you know what? Yes, did he misjudge, especially in preseason game 1, did he misjudge the ball off the bounce and he should have got away from it? But he says when he has the ball in his hands, he does a lot of explosive things. So he's like, it's our job to coach them up on those things. You know what I mean? You got to coach them up. And we've seen it. We've seen it before. We've seen it last year, the muffs and stuff like that. But they love his playmaking ability. Have we seen a lot of it? No, but they see the potential that they have, right? So I don't know. Do they value the potential that they hope to see over Dante Pettis being a sure thing in terms of fielding returns? Or do they like, ooh, my dog's barking. He don't like
I was like, what's going on? Are you okay?
You know, like arguing. Or did they see enough from Darius Fountain and say, you know what? This guy can be a special team guy and help that receiver.
And the tough part is, right, when you're talking about this, you like we said, you got to take the special teams into account. Like, listen, Tyler Scott knows to get the heck out of the way of the ball. He's a young guy. Dante Pettis, right? Like, if he makes the team, he knows, like you said, we don't have to worry about him. I think even, right, like, listen, I love the explosive ability of Velus Jones, but I love not giving the ball to the other team. You know who doesn't do that? Travis Homer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
but it don't matter what we like. I'm telling you, Coach Hightower, he loves Velus Jones. He loves Velus Jones.
That's true.
He said, first of all, he talks about him in his press conference, right?
Yeah.
The ability that Velus has. But then also, right, what happens? He's back out there at punt returner, right? He's still
number one. He hasn't lost his job.
He's still out there. So I don't know. Right now you'd have to say it's going to be Velus. You know what I'm saying? And if you ain't going to put Dante Pettis on practice squad. Darius is not going to. I don't think he would stick on practice.
I think he'd actually get picked up.
Yeah, I think he might get picked up too. So, I honestly think it's Velus.
Velus is going to make the team after.
I think it's Velus, man.
You know what it is? And Velus has been blessed by circumstance.
Yeah.
The fact that Dante hasn't been able to go at all due to injury has absolutely made the case for Velus Jones and Coach Hightower to basically just be like, yeah, keep him. I don't disagree with you, but I don't like that I don't disagree with you.
The only way, this is where it's going to get tricky, right? If Darius Fountain goes on and has a similar game that he had last week, that's when it's going to get interesting. And that's what he has to do. Like, if Darius, right now, he's got to know that, right? These guys, we know it's a numbers game. I remember being at training camp and looking at positions and be like, man, this guy's, he's in front of this person. Like, it's a numbers game, and players see that. They kind of see where they fit in. So Darius knows he's got to go out there and have another big game.
Yeah.
Wants to stick. You got to leave a lasting impression. You're only as good as your last game. And that'll be this Saturday for Tarik. So if he wants to make the roster, you got to have a similar game that you had in Indy.
Let's look at this running back room, because the running back room gets interesting. Running back room, I think we know our three, right? Roshan, Khalil Herbert, Deontay Foreman.
This is easy.
It's I think Treston Ebner's gone. I'm not gonna lie to you. I hate it. I mean, I think he's gone. I think it's done.
I didn't even see him, and I don't know. You know, I was in the team hotel with the guys the whole time. I don't even remember seeing Treston Ebner in there.
Yeah.
I don't know if he made the trip. I'm dead serious. I didn't even see him, because I think. So look at game one. I think he had, and I don't want to put stuff out there, but head equipment manager Tony Medlin took his helmet. I think he had a concussion. I think that's what happened. So I don't know. I don't think he was on the trip in Indy. You know, I haven't heard reports of him being at practice.
Yeah.
So
he might be out already. He just knows it. Yeah. That's tough.
That's
my real question on this is, does Travis Homer make the roster?
Travis Homer will make it. I think Travis Homer is going to make it. He's a 4-phase special teams guy.
Yeah.
I mean, he's kickoff return, punt return. He's a core special teams guy that you can put in at running back and has the ability to make plays. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
I think he was. I mean, honestly, the running back thing, I've been sure about it the whole time. You know, so it's always been Khalil, obviously, Deontay, Rashawn, and Homer. Like, I felt like when they signed Homer that Ebner was out anyway, regardless of what he did.
Right.
Because he's not a better special teams player than Homer.
No, I mean, he doesn't fumble. He's better than I don't know. I'm not gonna go back to it. I don't know. I've seen him catch the football, is what I'm saying. I don't know. Let's keep it moving. I think running back room's easy. I agree with you pretty much on those four. I didn't know. See, that's one that might be interesting when we talk about, do you keep a Doug Kramer on the roster or not? Could Travis get the odd man out cut just based on I need more help on my offensive line? That's the only way I see him getting maybe missed on that.
Yeah, it just depends on how, like in those meetings, right? Does Hightower, bang his hand on the table and say, "I want Homer"?
Yeah,
because he's one of my core guys.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like if you go on the defensive side of the ball, Jalen Jones, like the first game he made the first 3 tackles on kickoff. You know what I mean? Micah Baskerville, the first tackle on kickoff last week in Indy. Who's also shown you a lot of.
He's making some plays on the. He's making some plays out there.
Like, he's what you want, right? What do they say defensively, right? They have traits that they look for. They want long, athletic guys that can run and hit. You know what I'm saying? Like Baskerville is one of those guys, and he played good college football, so he can be a 4-phase guy for you.
No, for sure.
And the funny thing is, Coach Hightower outside the locker room in Indy, I told him, I said, you know what? These young guys, they got to realize that, I said, they should be your best friend right now. Like, they should be in your back pocket. Hey, Coach Hightower, you need somebody? You need somebody? You need somebody to talk? You need somebody to return? Hey, you need somebody to punt? I don't punt, but I'm about to punt. He was laughing. He was like, J-Mac, you know what? You're right. You're right. I said, yeah, Coach, the young guys, like, your key to getting on this roster, if you're a bubble guy, is through special teams. That is the key. There is no other way for you to make a roster if you're an under-the-radar guy, if you're not on all 4 phases of special teams. You got to get on them teams in order to make a roster as a young guy.
It's going to be interesting to see. I think here is the conversation that everyone has been waiting for, J-Mac. The number one question that we have to pose to you: how many fullbacks we taking into the season? We taking 2 fullbacks?
No.
We getting 2 fullbacks? Robert Burns, Kari Blasingame, are we getting 2 fullbacks?
Man, I like Robert Burns too. I like him a lot. So, in Robert Burns, like, he's not even really a fullback. Like, the dude, he went to the University of Miami first before he transferred to UConn as a grad student. Robert Burns was the number 11 ranked running back, according to ours truly, ESPN, when he was coming out of high school. He's a running back. And you see how many carries he had in the Indy game. He gives you that versatility, right? Because he's big, so he can go in there and lead block, right? But he's athletic enough to catch passes and carry the ball. So do I think they're going to keep him over Kari Blasingame? No. But he's a practice squad guy.
Yeah.
And he's another guy, right, that you can move up if something happens later on in the season, right, to where he can play fullback, but he can also be a 4-phase special team guy because he has that athleticism, right? And he has that toughness to be able to do that. So he's a guy who's definitely, a high practice squad candidate, like a for sure practice squad candidate to me.
So then we got Kari Blasingame making it straight out the tight end room. I think you're carrying 3 tight ends in there. I think Steven Carlson's not going to make it, but Cole Kmet, Robert Tonyan, Mercedes Lewis, I'm pretty sure you're carrying all 3 tight ends in there.
Yeah, and Jared Pinkney, we got waived injured, so he's not even. Yeah, he's not here. And Steven Carlson and Lachlan Pitts didn't really show me anything. Matter of fact, Steven Carlson had that drop early on in the game, a pass from PJ Walker. So,
it's.
And then they're not really, to me, right? When you look at when you're choosing guys for special teams, Pat. When Coach Hightower is looking at guys who can help my special teams, he looks at them. He doesn't look at the positions they play on offense. He just looks at them in terms of special teams, right?
Right.
So Steven Carlson and Lachlan Pitts are going against a Micah Baskerville. They're going against a Michael Walker, the new guy they brought in, another athletic linebacker. They're really going against those guys to make special teams as well. And those 2 guys, Baskerville and Walker, are way more athletic than Carlson and Pitts.
So, I mean, as of right now, as I just did a quick count here, we're taking 27 from the offense, 27 players on the offensive side, 26 to 27, depends on kind of what they do with Kramer.
Yeah.
It feels about right. It feels about right. And I'm not upset with that. I don't think that we overvalued anybody too much. I think that we value people based off of the injuries that we have right now. Yeah. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I said this yesterday on the podcast. The injury list to me is going to get a lot shorter really, really quick when week 1 rolls around, because I think that these are nicks, bruises that you can speak to it as a player. You never have 100% healthy game. You come into the season and basically just go, tape it up. Let's go. We're out here. I got a little soft tissue thing. It's not going to stop me from playing today.
Yeah, 100%. And it's a lot easier to get up for a practice when you're practicing for Green Bay than getting up for a preseason game when you're practicing against Buffalo. We've been in training camp all weekend, like,
hey, you Tristan might not even made the trip. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just
I don't think I wasn't even trying to be funny, man. Like, I've been there. I've been under that helmet. I've been there, man. I've been one of those guys. You know what I'm saying? One of those guys trying to fight to make a roster spot. So, I say all this stuff with respect because I know what them guys are going through, and I want all those guys to make it. You know what I mean? But it's just it's just the real world of the NFL. I didn't see Ebner.
Weirdly enough, I can see Tristan getting picked up by another team, though.
Yeah, 100%.
He's not bad. He's the odd man out in this numbers game. And I think especially as a special teamer, a guy that can return punts, can return kickoffs, stuff like that, I think he'll end up still being an NFL player.
Yeah, he's explosive. It happens, man. Like, and some guys you stick with the team that drafted you, and then some guys you don't. But what happens is, how many guys have we seen? This is probably another podcast, making a little segue here, but a lot of guys, right? There's been a lot of guys who may not have had the best career in Chicago, but then they've left and they've really exploded as a player, or they've left and won Super Bowls. There's a ton of guys.
Let's not go down that road. Let's talk.
There have been a lot of guys that left and won the Super Bowl. I've been jealous of him. Like
one of your teammates, right? Or was he gone by then? Shea McClellan. Wasn't Shea McClellan your teammate or no? Was he after you?
I wasn't even referring to Shea. No, man.
I was gonna say he went on to win it. What was the beef there? What was that?
No, I wasn't no beef. I'm just messing with you, man. I was playing. Corey Graham.
See that? Did everybody see that at home?
I was gonna throw out my man Corey Graham. Corey Graham left here, right? He went to Baltimore.
Yeah.
Became a Pro Bowler on special teams and won a Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
Corey Graham left Baltimore, went to Philly, ended up being their starting nickelback, and what did he do? Won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
2 rings. Yeah. My man Corey Graham came here as a rookie, was really good on special teams here. I think Corey was like a 5th or 6th round draft pick, right? So another guy from New Hampshire who came in and made the roster because he was a beast on special teams.
Yeah,
and he made his entire career on special teams.
Who was Arizona's running back? James. He was on our practice squad, and they ended up picking him up. James, like 2 years ago. James Conner. James Conner was on our practice squad.
James Conner was not on our practice squad.
Wasn't James? No, not James Conner.
No, I would. James Conner would have never been on our practice squad.
I think James Conner came from the Bears, dog. Or
Nah,
maybe
who was here? You know who was here with us? People don't realize Raheem Mostert was on.
Raheem Mostert is who I was thinking of, not James Conner. James Conner was ahead of Raheem Mostert.
Yeah.
James Conner got hurt and Raheem Mostert started cooking. Raheem Mostert was who I was thinking of.
Mostert
You're absolutely right.
Raheem Mostert was here. He left here, went to 49ers, and obviously with the Dolphins, and made a career.
James Conner was at Pittsburgh. James Conner was the draft. Yeah, I remember James Conner. James Conner was right after Le'Veon Bell left. That's who. Yeah. Raheem Mostert was who I was thinking of, and he went on to be a heck of a running back in this league as well.
One of the best running backs in the league.
Third quarter.
Let's keep this thing moving on into the third quarter, man, because there is a special player that is very close to Bears fans' hearts that is trying to make a comeback in this league. And with the instability that the Bears have had on the punt position, I think that he might be somebody that the Bears could look at. I don't think there's not the same connection at all. Tarik Cohen trying to make his comeback. Tarik Cohen has gone through multiple injuries since leaving the Chicago Bears. He, of course, tore his ACL while he was here. I'll never forget. I was watching his IG live when you heard his Achilles pop. Now, I don't even know if this injury has ever been reported on paper or whatever it was, but it was an Achilles. Like, you saw him grab the back of his heel. You heard literally what sounded like a gunshot go off, and he just hit the floor and said, "Cut the live." That was one of the most heartbreaking moments for me as a Bears fan. Will Tarik Cohen make an NFL return at all? And could the Bears be looking at him as a possible option on this team?
It's a great question, because here's a guy before injury was one of the most dynamic, players in the league, because he can do so many things, and it's tough coming off injuries like that, right? The first thing that you say, can he be as explosive, or can he be close to the same player he was?
Yeah.
Second of all, he was out of football all of last year.
Yeah.
So the more you're away from football and you're not playing in these other leagues, not getting, football experience, the scouts start to look away from you, right? Because you haven't been around the game. You haven't been playing the game at a competitive level. So it's hard to say. Do I think he'll get some workouts? I think so. I think the body of work that he had when healthy will warrant him getting some workouts. It just depends on the shape of the team, what type of situation they're in, I think will be Tarik's best opportunity. And I think his best opportunity may even come, middle of the season, later in the season, when a lot of injuries mount up and you're looking for guys with experience, you're looking for guys that can give you versatility. He can be one of those guys in terms that you can look at and say, we're going to bring him in because he has experience. And if the workout goes well, right, then he's a guy who, we could bring in and he can be one of our guys. So it's hard to say. I'm pulling for him because I loved Tarik when he was in the Bears uniform. He's got a lot of highlights in the Bears uniform, made a lot of plays in the Bears uniform. Obviously was great to the fans, was a great guy, high character guy, was a fan favorite. So I'm thrilled that he's able to come back. Hate to see players' careers get derailed due to injury. So it's good to see Tarik making a comeback, and hopefully, he does land on the roster.
To me, he's a guy who, listen, I mean, he's a gadget guy of sorts, right? He's probably mostly a gadget guy. But people forget, in 2018, he got targeted 91 times, brought in 71 passes for 725 receiving yards. He was getting 10 yards per reception. He's 5'9", 5'10" at best, maybe, with all the I'm wrong. He's 5'6". I was like, I had to scroll up. I was like, I feel like I'm giving him a lot of height. He's 5'6". I'm not going to sit here and take away from him what we saw because of the height factor in there, and also because of the Nagy Mitch factor in there as well. With a better quarterback, with a better, offensive scheme in front of him, I think that he could make a comeback in this league. I think that the question is he going to be able to stay healthy? Is he going to be able to overcome injuries? Tarik Cohen's last year playing football is 2020.
Yeah, see what I mean? That's the problem. And when you get further away from the game and you're not playing in another league, CFL, XFL, there's other opportunities now. They look at you and say, this guy has been away from the game too long. He hasn't played competitive football for a long time. It's one thing to go out there and work out and run routes on air, but it's another thing to be hit, tackled to the ground. You know what I'm saying? In a competitive environment. So I think that'll be his biggest knock. He's going to have a heck of a workout, I think, to open up somebody's eyes.
Yeah.
But the good thing for him is he has a lot of good tape. He's got a lot of good, stats. And when he was healthy, he was real productive. So that's what he does have going for him.
The nicknames for Tarik Cohen, of course, the human joystick.
Yeah.
Or chicken salad. Where did that come in?
I don't know. But I know the human joystick, when he was coming out, you look at his highlights. We said North Carolina A&T, right?
Yeah.
Man, his highlights was ridiculous. Man.
He was crazy. Like when we got him, I was like, okay, he's 5'6", but like
man,
he ain't a regular 5'6". He is a sturdy dude.
He's chicken salad because he can make chicken salad out of chicken shit.
That's
all
what
right.
he did.
Okay. All right. Shout out to the producer jumping in for the clarification.
He jumped in smooth, didn't he?
Fourth quarter.
Hey, I love it, man. Hey, let's finish it off here, man. We got some great fan questions here in the fourth quarter. Hope to see Tarik Cohen, of course, make a comeback. But man, we got a lot of people looking to talk to you today, J-Mac. So let's run through some of these real quick. Starting off with my boy, just another year. He said, where do you see the running back room ranking in the NFL at the end of this season?
Good question. I got to see it. It's hard to answer that because I want to see final rosters to see what other running back rooms have first. You know what I mean? I think we're in a good spot. I mean, Khalil can, like my man Alex Brown says, can take it 88 out the gate, which means he can take it a distance anytime. Rashawn Johnson, physical runner, good pass protector, but also going to be effective in the passing game. Deontay Foreman, I mean, when he got his opportunities in the coast, he showed you a little bit of everything. He can run that ball up, in between the tackles. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. Back has got a lot of experience. So I think, man, our running back room, we're good, man. We got a little bit of everything. And the beauty of it is we got young, hungry guys getting opportunities. So that's what I love about our running back room, right? You don't have a guy who's been the number one guy, right? You have guys fighting to be the number one guy, every single one of them. So, I love our running back room, but I don't know where we'll rank. I need to see what everybody else has when the final rosters come out.
Question here from at Jose_FYB. I love being on a podcast. What are ways Blasingame can make a huge impact in the offense as a fullback?
Hey, if they let him, he can. Like, get him the ball, like we saw. Give him some opportunities. Like the guy he's a good fullback because he's versatile, right? And he can block, right? He can catch. I think you can give him some carries as well. Like, he's a weapon, right? He's not just a blocker. He can do those things, but he can be effective in terms of getting out for an outlet pass, being a safety valve for a quarterback. A lot of things I was able to do here in Chicago, go out there and catch the ball on the flat, doing some things, getting a carry and short yardage on the goal line. He can do all of those things. So he has a versatility, and he's a four-phase special teams guy. So I think you do have to, if you want to add a little more spice and flavor to your offense, make the defense defend every blade of grass and every player. And hey, get the ball to Blasingame out in the flat. He can do those things. We've seen it before. Just got to give him the opportunities.
At Baki $22 says, what week is the best to truly evaluate what our team is and what their identity is?
What week? Opening day. September 10th. That's when we're going to identity. That's the ultimate identity test. Can we finally beat Green Bay? I don't give a dang if who's at quarterback. Can we beat Green Bay at home? Period.
There's going to be a lot of upset people on this podcast if we lose week one.
Oh, man. I'm like, hey, if we don't beat Green Bay, I'm not doing the podcast no more. Every time we get on a pod, I'm just be like this. Don't ask me questions.
So, J-Mac, how you feeling?
This is my answer. I know answer. This is my facial expression. That's all I'm gonna do.
Chicago Sun-Times dropping it. I like this one, actually. I wish I could share this. How he's got it spelled is Chicago SONTYMES. I like that. Chicago Sun-Times. Who's the toughest person you had to block?
Man, a lot of them. Man, people ask me that question all the time, right? So, man, them D linemen is tough, and them D linemen, like, you're not even blocking them, but you run into them on accident. You know what I'm saying? Like, I remember we played the Detroit Lions, and they had a defensive tackle by the name of Shawn Rogers. You see, I'm rubbing my shoulder because I'm thinking about it right now.
It reminded you.
Every time I talk about Shawn Rogers, now I rub my shoulder. My shoulder hurts right now thinking about it. So, a play in which I had a check down over in the middle of the ball. Shawn Rogers, defensive tackle, and they did some type of twist on the inside. And as I was going through the line of scrimmage, making my way to my check down route, I wasn't even trying to block Shawn Rogers, but I ran into him. Boom. And I swear my shoulder felt like it came off my body. And he didn't move. And I remember running off the field. And I was like, ooh. I remember running up to our running back coach, Tim Spencer, like, Spence. I couldn't even talk. I'm like, check my shoulder. But I ain't got no shoulder. Collarbone, shoulder, clavicle, all the above. You see, I'm rubbing it right now. But
hey, man, that's a good one to end the pod on right there because
Shawn Rogers was about the University of Texas. He's about 320, 330. Could move too, strong as an ox. Like I'm about to go to the get an MRI on it right now or something.
Hey, Chicago Bears podcast. Fourth quarter will always be the fans' quarter. You send more questions, we'll drop in more answers from our experts here. We appreciate you guys for tuning in and showing love. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, man, and make sure that you leave a 5-star review. For Jason McKie, I'm Pat the Designer. Back at it again. Bear down, Chicago. Chicago Bears podcast.
Bear down.